As a top-notch divorce lawyer, I help clients catch their spouses cheating, but I end up photographing my own husband in bed with a client's wife. I thought it was just a cliché revenge story, but it turned out to be a carefully orchestrated series of murders. When I meticulously set traps to send the scumbag to his doom, I realized that I was just the sharpest knife in someone else's hand. Who was the ultimate winner in the end? As a top-notch divorce lawyer, my name is Ava, and I am known in the New York legal world for my calm, professional, and efficient approach. In the divorce cases I handle, I always manage to secure the maximum benefit for my clients, especially those poor souls who have been betrayed. But I never expected that one day, the naked man entangled with another woman in my camera lens would be my husband, Ethan. It happened on a Friday night. My client, Liam, a seemingly gentle and refined financial analyst, suspected his wife of 3 years, Olivia, of cheating. He provided the times and locations of Olivia's recent erratic movements and hired me to collect evidence. The location was a boutique hotel in Midtown Manhattan known for its privacy. With my assistant David and a team of professional investigators, we waited patiently outside the hotel hallway. According to the information provided by Liam, Olivia should be having a rendezvous with a strange man here. My task was simple: to take decisive evidence to give Liam the upper hand in the upcoming divorce proceedings. Time passed second by second, and my nerves became more and more tense. Finally, the door of the target room opened. A woman in a bathrobe walked out. It was Liam's wife, Olivia. She had a hot body and a satisfied blush on her face. I immediately raised my camera, ready to capture the moment when she and her lover appeared together. Immediately afterward, a man also wearing a bathrobe walked out of the room. He reached out and put his arm around Olivia's waist, whispering something intimately in her ear. When I saw the man's face clearly, I almost dropped the camera in my hand. It was him, Ethan, my husband. At that moment, my mind went blank, and my heart felt like it was being clenched tightly by an invisible hand, hurting so much that I could barely breathe. Blood rushed to my head, then instantly turned cold, and all my limbs stiffened. David whispered beside me, "Sister Ava, did you get the shot?" I suddenly came back to my senses, my fingertips icy, but I forced myself to steady the camera and pressed the shutter. The flash went off, clearly recording the scene of them embracing, as well as the astonished and panicked expressions on their faces. Olivia screamed and hid back in her room. Ethan, on the other hand, stood frozen in place, the color draining from his face instantly, looking at me in disbelief. "Ava, how could you be here?" His voice was dry, with a hint of barely perceptible panic. I took a deep breath, suppressing the surge of anger and humiliation. "I am Ava, one of New York's most outstanding divorce lawyers. I've handled cases that are more melodramatic and complex than this. I can't lose my composure here. I can't let my husband and this woman see me make a fool of myself. More importantly, I am Liam's legal representative, and I must protect my client's interests. The situation is far more complex than imagined. Ethan's affair is with the client's wife. Are there other secrets hidden within this?" I put away the camera and forced a professional, even slightly, surprised smile on my face, as if I just happened to be passing by. "Ethan, what a coincidence. And who is this?" I looked at the tightly closed door as if casually, my tone as light as if we'd bumped into each other on a street corner. Ethan clearly didn't expect me to react this way and seemed momentarily flustered. This is a friend, Olivia," he introduced vaguely, his eyes darting around. "Olivia?" I feigned surprise. "Is that Liam's wife? What a coincidence. I happen to be Liam's divorce lawyer. I never expected to run into you here." I deliberately emphasized the words divorce lawyer, clearly seeing Ethan's and Olivia's, though I couldn't see her. I could imagine her expression, faces turn even uglier. "We are just here to talk about something," Ethan tried to explain, but his lie was weak and unconvincing. "Oh, talking about things in a place like this?" I raised an eyebrow, walked up to him, and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Ethan, don't take me for a fool. Since we've run into each other so coincidentally, why not sit down together? As it happens, I also have some things I want to talk to you about." My tone was calm, even with a hint of gentleness, but the coldness in my eyes was enough to make him understand that this was not a negotiation, but a notification. Ethan's Adam's apple bobbed, and he finally nodded. Okay. He turned and knocked on the door, whispering a few words to Olivia inside. After a moment, the door opened again. and Olivia had changed into a dress that looked expensive. Although her face still showed lingering fear, she had tried her best to regain her composure. The look in her eyes towards me was full of vigilance and hostility. "Attorney Ava, I've heard so much about you." She forced a stiff smile. "Ms. Olivia, it's a pleasure to meet you." I returned an equally friendly smile. Thus, the scene of catching a cheater turned into a strange chance encounter dinner. I asked David and the investigator to leave first, while I followed this adulterous couple into the hotel's restaurant private room. I knew that a tough battle had just begun. The atmosphere in the private room was as oppressive as the calm before a storm. Exquisite meals were laid out on the table, but no one had the appetite to touch them. Ethan sat between Olivia and me, as if on pins and needles. He kept looking at me, then at Olivia, fine beads of sweat appearing on his forehead. Olivia, on the other hand, kept her head down, fidgeting with her phone under the tablecloth, occasionally glancing at me quickly, her eyes filled with complex emotions. I picked up my glass, took a sip, and broke the silence. "Ethan, when did you and Ms. Olivia meet? I don't remember you ever mentioning her." Ethan's body noticeably stiffened. It was just recently, at a business gathering." "Oh, is that so?" I smiled. "A friend who can make you drop your work and come to the hotel specifically to talk things over must have a very special relationship." Olivia's hand under the table paused for a moment. Then she raised her head with a provocative smile. "Attorney Ava, what do you mean by that? Ethan and I are just ordinary friends. Are you being so aggressive because you're uncomfortable seeing your husband with another woman?" What a counterattack. I sneered inwardly, but remained calm on the surface. "Ms. Olivia, you've misunderstood. I'm just here as Liam's lawyer, routinely gathering information. After all, the fact that you two are here does seem a bit intriguing. Olivia wanted to argue. Just then, Ethan's phone screen lit up with a WhatsApp notification. He glanced at it instinctively, then quickly turned the phone face down on the table. Almost simultaneously, Olivia's phone also made the same notification sound. My heart sank. They were right in front of me, still secretly communicating via WhatsApp. I pretended not to notice and continued to slowly cut the steak on my plate. "Speaking of which, Liam hasn't been doing well lately. He suspects you're having an affair. He's in a low mood, and it's even affecting his work." I looked at Olivia. "As his wife, shouldn't you care more about him?" Olivia's expression changed, and her eyes flickered. Of course I care about him. It's just that there have been some misunderstandings lately." "Misunderstanding?" I put down my knife and fork, leaning forward slightly. "What kind of misunderstanding needs to be resolved in a hotel room? And, as far as I know, Liam doesn't have any social engagements tonight. He should be at home." My gaze was as sharp as a knife, fixed on Olivia. She seemed flustered by my stare and subconsciously turned to Ethan for help. Ethan cleared his throat, trying to smooth things over. "Ava, there might really be some misunderstanding here. Olivia and Liam's affairs are not something we outsiders should interfere with, right? Outsider?" I repeated the word, a sarcastic smile curving my lips. "Ethan, in what capacity are you speaking to me right now? As my husband, or as Ms. Olivia's ordinary friend Ethan's face flushed red and then turned white, and he was speechless. The meal finally ended in an extremely awkward and hypocritical atmosphere. Ethan offered to take me home, and I didn't refuse. Sitting in the passenger seat, I watched the neon lights flashing by outside the window, my heart ice cold. This isn't just a simple affair. The interaction between Ethan and Olivia, the information they just exchanged via WhatsApp, all suggested something unusual. I had a strong feeling that a bigger secret was hidden behind this. Back home, Ethan was unusually attentive, pouring me water and asking if I was tired. He was trying to make amends in this way, or rather, to cover up his inner panic and fear. I watched him coldly as he bustled about like a clumsy actor, with no ripples in my heart, only a deathly coldness. "I'm tired. I'm going to take a shower first." I interrupted his performance and went straight to the bathroom. Hot water washes over my body, but it can't wash away the humiliation and nausea in my heart. The woman in the mirror is pale, but her eyes are unusually sharp. "Ava, you can't fall. You are the strongest divorce lawyer, and now you have to fight a divorce case for yourself. And, you have to win beautifully." When I came out of the shower, Ethan was already lying in bed, seemingly asleep, but his breathing was slightly rapid, obviously pretending to be asleep. I didn't expose him. I'd just lay on the other side of the bed, with my back to him, pretending to fall asleep as well. Time flowed slowly in the darkness, and I could clearly hear the man beside me breathing more and more evenly. After confirming that he was really asleep, I carefully turned around. His phone was on the bedside table, the screen black. My heart was beating a little faster, but my movements were unusually steady. I gently picked up his phone and unlocked it with his fingerprint. After many years of marriage, there was still this much trust, but I didn't expect him to trample on it like this. I didn't directly look at the WhatsApp chat history. I knew he must have deleted the key information, but that's not a problem for me. As a top lawyer, I deeply understand the importance of electronic evidence, and I had already prepared tools to deal with various situations. I connected his phone to my laptop and started a professional data recovery software. The progress bar moved slowly on the screen, each second feeling like a century. I stared intently at the screen, my fingers ice cold. Finally, the software prompted that the recovery was complete. I opened the recovered WhatsApp chat history, and the first thing I found was his conversation with Olivia. The timeline was completely restored, and those disgusting flirtations, explicit appointments, and the details I least wanted to see were all nakedly presented before my eyes. Their relationship had lasted for at least 6 months. 6 months. While I was busy with work every day, working hard for this family, my husband was deeply in love with another woman. Anger rolled in my chest like lava, but I forced myself to keep reading. The more I read, the colder my heart became. In the records, Olivia told Ethan she was pregnant. Just last month, she stated emphatically that the child was Ethan's and even coquettishly said she wanted to bear him a son. Ethan was overjoyed by this, and his words were filled with longing for the future, as if they were a real family. What shocked me even more was that they weren't just having an affair. They were also plotting how to extract the maximum benefit from their respective marriages. Darling, that old stubborn Liam is rich, but he holds on to his money tightly. When we divorce, I must get more than half of the property. Otherwise, how will we live in the future? This was the message Olivia sent. Don't worry, baby, Ethan replied. You don't have to worry about Ava. Although she is a lawyer, she trusts me. I will find a way to transfer our joint property, and when we divorce, she won't get much. Once we've both settled things, we'll take the money and the child and go to a place where no one knows us and start over. They even discussed the specific steps, how to create the illusion of Liam transferring assets, and how to transfer the funds from our joint account without my knowledge. Shameless, despicable. I bit my lip hard, tasting the metallic tang of blood. I thought this was just a disgusting affair, but I never expected it to be a premeditated conspiracy. They not only wanted to betray the marriage, but also drain Liam's and my assets. That child. If Olivia is really pregnant, she is actually using a child of unknown parentage to trap Ethan, treating him as a long-term meal ticket and accomplice. I continued to scroll down, my fingers trembling slightly from the effort. Suddenly, a few inconspicuous chat records caught my attention. Olivia, that little thing you gave me last time worked really well. Liam has been drowsy lately and much more obedient to me. Ethan, that's good. Don't use too much of it, to avoid being discovered. I got it from a doctor friend. Small doses will only make people feel tired, and it can't be detected. Little thing? Drowsy? Doctor friend? My heart skipped a beat, and a terrible thought popped into my head. Poisoning? Wang Juanru is poisoning Chen-Lin, and the drug was provided by Shin Jihao? I immediately thought of Liam's recent condition. He did say that he always felt tired and had difficulty concentrating, and thought it was due to too much work pressure. Could it be? I didn't dare to think any further. A chilling coldness rose from the soles of my feet, instantly spreading throughout my body. If Ethan could help Olivia drug her husband, would he have done the same to me? I suddenly recalled my own condition over the past period. I also seemed to often feel tired, had poor sleep quality, and my mood was inexplicably irritable. I always thought it was due to being too busy at work and hormonal imbalances caused by too much pressure. Now that I think about it, could it be? I'm not sure, but once the suspicion arose, it grew wildly in my heart like a vine. Ethan, my husband, the man who shared my bed, not only betrayed me and schemed for my property, but may even be drugging me? Fear gripped me. As soon as it dawned, I made an excuse to avoid Ethan and immediately drove to the best private hospital in the city. I couldn't go to our family doctor. Ethan was very familiar with him. I requested a comprehensive blood test, especially for psychotropic drugs and hormone levels. The process of waiting for the results was excruciating. Every minute felt like being fried in a pan of oil. Several hours later, the doctor found me with the report, his expression a little grave. Ms. Ava, your blood test results show that you have a high concentration of ethinylestradiol and levonorgestrel in your body. What is that? My voice trembled slightly. This is the main component of common contraceptives. The doctor paused and added, moreover, based on the concentration, it's more like the ingredient of emergency contraceptives. Have you taken such medication recently? My brain buzzed and went blank. Contraceptives? Emergency contraceptives? I've never taken them. Ethan and I have always used protection, and recently, because of my fatigue, we haven't been intimate very often. Impossible, I blurted out. I have absolutely never taken it. The doctor looked at me with a hint of sympathy in his eyes. Ms. Ava, this result is accurate. Moreover, long-term, unnecessary use of this ingredient can cause serious endocrine disorders and even, in extreme cases, may induce life-threatening side effects such as thrombosis. Life-threatening. These 4 words struck my heart like a heavy hammer. I understood instantly. Ethan, it must be him. Every morning, he would prepare a glass of warm water or coffee for me, and I always thought it was his thoughtfulness. Could it be that he was using this opportunity to give me medicine every day? What he gave me wasn't ordinary birth control pills, but emergency contraception. This kind of medicine has huge side effects, and long-term use. He doesn't just want me to be listless, he wants my life. This realization made me feel icy cold, as if I had fallen into an ice cave. My husband actually wants to kill me. Is it for Olivia? For our property? Or both? Immense fear and anger almost consumed me, but I knew this wasn't the time to break down. I needed more evidence, more conclusive evidence. Leaving the hospital, I immediately drove to an authoritative drug testing center in the suburbs. I took a bottle of common vitamins from home. Ethan reminds me to take them every day. I suspected he might have switched the pills. The test results came out quickly, confirming my suspicion. The multivitamin I usually take had been replaced with a high concentration of emergency contraceptives. The appearance of the bottle was unchanged, but he had imperceptibly switched the pills inside. Holding the test report, I sat in the car, my hands gripping the steering wheel tightly, my knuckles white from the force. Tears finally burst out uncontrollably, not because of sadness, but because of extreme anger and lingering fear. Ethan, Shen Jihao, he's not human, he's a devil. He's taking it step by step, not only to take everything from me, but also to take my life. I must take action immediately. First, I need to ensure Liam's safety. Now that Ethan and Olivia have started using drugs, it means they can't wait any longer and may take more drastic measures at any time. I wiped away my tears, adjusted my emotions, and dialed Liam's number. Liam, it's Ava. Are you free to talk right now? There's something very urgent I need to tell you. I tried to keep my voice as steady as possible, but it still had a slight, almost imperceptible tremor. Liam on the other end of the phone seemed a little surprised. Attorney Ava? Sure, go ahead. Liam, you must leave your house immediately and find a safe place to stay. Also, stop eating or drinking anything Olivia gives you, especially anything she makes herself. My words were fast, but every word was clear. What? Attorney Ava, what do you mean? Liam was clearly confused by my words. I have obtained conclusive evidence. I took a deep breath, proving that Olivia not only cheated on you, but also, she's been drugging you. I suspect she and her lover have a bigger conspiracy, and your situation is very dangerous. To make him believe it, I sent him the recovered chat records between Olivia and Ethan about the little thing, as well as the part about a small dose causing listlessness. From Ethan's phone via encrypted email, I concealed Ethan's name, only saying that the drugs were provided by Olivia's lover. I can't expose Ethan right now. It would stir up the hornet's nest. After the notification sound of the successful email sending, a long silence fell on the other end of the phone. I can imagine Liam's shock and anger at this moment. After a long while, Liam's voice rang again, with unbelievable trembling and suppressed anger. She actually drugged me? Who is that man? I'm still investigating who exactly it is. But the most important thing now is your safety. Liam, you must leave there immediately. I emphasized again. Okay, I understand. Attorney Ava, thank you. I'll leave right now. Liam's voice was filled with lingering fear and determination. After hanging up, I was still worried. I had to personally confirm Liam's physical condition and what kind of drug he had been given, and the dosage. This was not only related to his safety, but also to subsequent litigation strategies. I immediately drove to Liam's company building to wait for him. He came down quickly, his face pale, his eyes full of shock, anger, and a hint of fear. Seeing me, he seemed to grab a lifeline. "Attorney Ava, don't worry, Liam, we'll go to the hospital for a checkup now." I took him directly to the private hospital I had gone to before, registered for emergency treatment, and requested a blood drug screening. The waiting time for the results was equally long. Liam fidgeted and kept wringing his hands. I looked at him, my heart filled with mixed feelings. He, like me, was a victim of this conspiracy. The test results came out. The doctor told us that traces of benzodiazepine drugs were indeed detected in Liam's blood, but the dosage was very low, far from enough to cause serious health damage, and would only make people feel tired, sleepy, and slow to react. This result made me frown. Tranquilizers? Just tranquilizers? And the dosage wasn't high? This seems to match what Ethan mentioned in his chat logs about a small dose causing lethargy, but it's also a bit strange. If Olivia and her lover, who I didn't know was Ethan at the time, really wanted to control or even harm Liam by drugging him, why would they only use such a low dose of tranquilizers? This doesn't seem sufficient to achieve their goal, unless they had another purpose for drugging him. A low dose of tranquilizers, while not immediately fatal, can lead to long-term lethargy, slowed reactions, and impaired judgment. What if they combined it with other methods? A vague idea flashed through my mind, but I couldn't quite grasp it yet. And dang, she actually drugged me, that bitch. Liam completely exploded after learning the result. He stood up abruptly, his eyes bloodshot, and veins popping on his forehead. The previous gentleness was gone, replaced by the rage of being betrayed and fooled. "I'm going back to settle the score with her. I'm going to kill her," he roared, like an enraged lion. "Liam, calm down." I tried to stop him. "It's too dangerous to go back now. You can't be impulsive." But he was blinded by anger and couldn't listen to my advice at all. He pushed me away, moving surprisingly fast, and snatched the car keys that I had placed on the chair next to me. "Ava, don't worry about this. This is my family matter." He left those words, rushed out of the hospital without looking back, jumped into my car, started the engine, and sped away. Liam, I chased after him, but only saw the taillights of the car disappear at the end of the street. Oh no, my heart sank. Liam is out of control right now, going back to Olivia. The consequences are unimaginable, since Olivia dared to drug him. She's not a good person. What if she and Ethan were prepared? I was extremely anxious, immediately stopped a taxi on the side of the road, gave Liam's home address, and urged the driver to drive faster. All the way, my heart was in my throat. I kept calling Liam's cell phone, but there was no answer. The taxi stopped at the luxury apartment building where Liam lived. I paid the fare and hurried into the building. Fortunately, I still remembered his floor and apartment number. The elevator door opened, and I strode to Liam's door, finding it was not closed tightly, but ajar. There was no sound of arguing inside, only silence. This made me even more uneasy. I gently pushed open the door and walked in. There was no one in the living room. I walked in carefully, and as I passed the kitchen, I saw a middle-aged woman in an apron busy at the stove. She was Liam's nanny. The nanny seemed a little surprised to see me. "You are." "I'm Liam's friend." I was about to ask about Liam's whereabouts, but my attention was drawn to what the nanny was doing. It was a pot of sweet fermented rice dumplings being cooked, emitting a rich aroma of alcohol and a sweet, cloying fragrance. On the table next to the pot was a bottle of strong liquor that was almost half empty. "This is prepared for Mr. Liam?" I asked, pointing at the pot of sweet fermented rice balls. "Yes," the nanny nodded. "Mr. Liam loves to eat this. Madam specifically instructed me to add more wine tonight, saying that Mr. Liam has been tired recently, so drinking some will warm him up and help him sleep." Add more wine? Help him sleep? My heart sank suddenly. Strong liquor, Ativan. These two words collided in my mind, instantly igniting a terrible conjecture. I suddenly understood. Olivia drugged Liam with a low dose of Ativan, not to kill him immediately, but to keep him in a state of mental weakness and sluggishness for a long time. Then, at a suitable time, like tonight, she would have him eat food containing a lot of liquor. Like this pot of fermented glutinous rice balls, alcohol can exacerbate the central nervous system depressant effects of tranquilizers. Even a low dose of tranquilizers, catalyzed by a large amount of alcohol, is enough to cause deep sleepiness, even loss of consciousness, if at this time, he then takes a hot bath. Bathtub, hot water, deep sleep, a perfect accidental drowning scene. Olivia and Ethan, they don't want to slowly torture Liam. They want to create an accident and eliminate him completely. This way, Olivia can rightfully inherit Liam's huge fortune and get rid of the suspicion of murder. What a vicious plan. What a meticulous calculation. I only feel a chill running straight from my spine to the top of my head. If I hadn't discovered the secret in Ethan's phone in time, if I hadn't asked Liam to get checked, if I had been one step late, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Where's Liam? Where is he? I asked the nanny anxiously. The master came back with a very ugly look on his face. He went straight into the bedroom. It seemed like he argued with his wife for a few words, then went to the bathroom and said he wanted to take a bath. The nanny pointed towards the master bedroom. The bathroom. He really went to take a bath. I immediately rushed to the master bedroom. I pushed open the door of the master bedroom, but there was no one inside. But the sound of rushing water came from the bathroom. Liam. I rushed to the bathroom door and pounded on it. Liam, are you okay? Open the door. There was no response from inside, only the sound of water continuing to run. My heart leaped to my throat. In desperation, I slammed into the bathroom door. The door burst open. Hot, steamy mist rushed towards me. The bathtub was full of water, and Liam was lying in it wearing a bathrobe, his eyes tightly closed and his face abnormally flushed, as if he had lost consciousness. His head was tilted to one side, and his mouth and nose were only inches away from the water. Olivia stood by the bathtub, a towel in her hand. When she saw me burst in, a flash of panic crossed her face, but she quickly composed herself and asked sternly, "Attorney Ava? What do you think you're doing? Trespassing? Get him out of there." I didn't bother arguing with her and rushed over to help Liam out of the water. Just then, my phone rang. I subconsciously glanced at the caller ID, and my pupils suddenly contracted. Why would he call me at this time? I immediately hung up the phone, but almost at the same time, the apartment doorbell rang. Olivia's face also changed slightly. She quickly walked out of the bathroom and went to open the door. I followed her out, my heart beating fast. My intuition told me that the person outside the door was likely to be Ethan. Sure enough, the door opened, and Ethan stood outside. Seeing Olivia and me both there, a look of surprise appeared on his face, but that surprise was fleeting, so fast that one almost thought it was an illusion. "Ava? Olivia? What are you both doing here?" he asked, feigning confusion, his eyes quickly scanning the living room, as if searching for something. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" I asked first, stepping in front of Olivia to prevent him from seeing the situation in the bathroom. I was passing by and remembered Liam mentioning he wasn't feeling well, so I came up to check on him. Ethan fabricated, his eyes flickering slightly. "Too bad. Liam just fell asleep after taking a bath," Olivia interjected, her tone returning to calm, even with a hint of laziness. "Your timing is bad." "Oh, asleep?" Ethan's gaze turned to the direction of the master bedroom again, with a hint of subtle inquiry. I know he must be here to confirm whether the plan was successful. He may have been waiting downstairs, or timed it perfectly. The phone call just now was probably to confirm if I was home and if I would hinder their good deeds. I must lure him away. I can't let him discover that Liam is still alive, and I can't let him know that I have seen through their conspiracy. Since Liam is asleep, it's not convenient for us to disturb him. I took Ethan's arm, forced myself to suppress the nausea, and squeezed out a smile. "It just so happens that we haven't taken a walk together for a long time. Accompany me downstairs for a walk, okay?" Ethan hesitated, seeming like he still wanted to go inside and check, but seeing my gentle gaze and undeniable attitude, he finally nodded. "Okay." I pulled Ethan away, quickly leaving Liam's house. As I passed Olivia, I warned her in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Keep an eye on Liam. If anything happens to him, I guarantee you and your accomplices will rot in jail." Olivia's body stiffened, and her face turned pale instantly. After sending Ethan away, I immediately returned to Liam's house. Olivia had already sent the nanny away with an excuse. Only Olivia and I were left in the living room, along with Liam, whom I had just dragged out of the bathtub and was still a bit dazed. I made Liam drink a lot of water, induced vomiting, and then gave him a few cups of strong coffee. His face was still pale, but his eyes gradually regained clarity. When he realized that he had almost died in the bathtub just now, fear and anger surged into his heart again, but this time he didn't lose control. He just stared at Olivia, his eyes so cold that it was frightening. Olivia was made uncomfortable by his gaze, and shouted with a fierce look but a weak heart, "What are you looking at? You were the one who was drinking and bathing carelessly." "Shut up," Liam roared, his voice hoarse but full of power. Having experienced the brink of life and death, he seemed to have grown a lot in an instant. I gestured for Liam to calm down, then turned to Olivia. "Olivia, you conspired with Ethan to try to create the illusion of Liam accidentally drowning. The evidence is conclusive. I'm giving you two choices now. 1. Cooperate with us and explain everything. Maybe you can still get leniency. 2. I'll call the police right now. Attempted murder, multiple crimes combined. Neither you nor Ethan will be able to escape." Olivia's face completely collapsed, her whole body trembling, her lips quivering, unable to speak. Just then, Liam suddenly spoke, his voice low. "Attorney Ava, wait a moment." I looked at him, somewhat puzzled. Liam struggled to sit up straight, looked at me, his eyes complex. "I have something I must tell you." He paused, as if considering his words. "That night, I came home early and saw Olivia and a man being intimate in the living room. That man was not Ethan." "What?" I was stunned. "Not Ethan? How is that possible? I clearly photographed Ethan and Olivia at the hotel." "Are you sure you saw clearly?" I pressed. Liam nodded affirmatively. "I'm sure. That man's build and hair color are different from Ethan's. The light was a little dim at the time, and I couldn't see his face clearly, but I'm sure it wasn't him." My brain started racing. If Liam was telling the truth, then that would mean Olivia has more than just Ethan as a lover. She's entangled with 2, or even more, men at the same time. Who was the man Liam ran into? Is he related to Olivia's murder plot? Does Ethan know about this man? Things seem more complicated than I thought. Liam looked at my shocked expression and gave a bitter smile. "It's ridiculous, isn't it? I've been wearing 2, or maybe even more, green hats." He took a deep breath, his eyes becoming unusually firm. "Attorney Ava, I want a divorce. Immediately. I don't want to see this woman for even a second. I don't care about the property. I just want her to leave with nothing, and have her reputation ruined." His tone was full of determination. Having gone through all of this, he had completely seen through Olivia's true colors. Liam's unexpected discovery disrupted my original plan but also provided a new breakthrough. Since Olivia has other lovers, there are more variables in this situation. In her eyes, Ethan may just be a pawn who provides drugs, conspires for money, and may even take the blame. Looking at the panicked Olivia and a determined Liam in front of me, a bold plan gradually took shape in my mind. Liam, calling the police now would certainly bring Olivia to justice immediately. But I changed my tone. "What about Ethan? He is one of the masterminds, provided the drugs, and may even be involved in deeper plots. If we expose Olivia now, Ethan will likely become alert immediately, destroy the evidence, and even run away. And Olivia's child." Mentioning the child, Liam's face turned even more unsightly. "Although Olivia claims the child is Ethan's, who can guarantee that? What if? Then what should we do?" Liam asked. "He is now full of trust in me. Let's use a trick to counter their trick," I said slowly. "Liam, you move out temporarily and find a safe place to live. Publicly declare that you are temporarily separated due to emotional discord. This will not only ensure your safety, but also relax Olivia's vigilance, making her think that her plan has not been exposed." I looked at Olivia, my eyes cold, and said, "As for you, Olivia, continue to play your role. Keep Ethan stable and make him think he has everything under control. At the same time, you must also move freely so that we have a chance to find your mysterious third party." Olivia opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but under my sharp gaze, she ultimately chose silence. She knew she had no room for bargaining now. Cooperating with me might offer a glimmer of hope. Resistance would only lead to death. "I will send people to protect you secretly, Liam," I added. "At the same time, I will also have people watching Olivia and Ethan. We must grasp all the evidence before they act again and catch them all in one fell swoop." Liam nodded, agreeing to my plan. "Okay, Attorney Ava, I'll listen to you." Watching Liam's departing figure, I knew that this war had entered a more dangerous and complex phase. I not only had to deal with Ethan, the husband who wanted to kill me and seize my wealth, but also had to ferret out the third party, the fourth party, perhaps even more, hidden in the shadows. And I must proceed with caution, ensuring that both myself and my clients can emerge unscathed from this vortex. After seeing Liam off, I didn't leave immediately. I stood by the apartment window, looking downstairs. Ethan's car was still parked on the street corner not far away, but he didn't get out. I took out my phone, pretending to make a call, while observing his movements. Sure enough, not long after, Ethan got out of the car, walked to a secluded corner, and took out his phone to make a call, although I couldn't hear what he was saying. Judging from his sometimes anxious and sometimes soothing expressions, the person on the other end of the phone was most likely Olivia, who had just experienced a false alarm. They are confirming the situation and discussing countermeasures. My guess was correct. Ethan didn't completely believe my excuse for pulling him away just now. He is still suspicious of what happened at Liam's house. This further confirms my judgment. I must act as soon as possible and gather more lethal evidence before they realize that I have grasped their secrets. Watching Ethan hang up the phone, get in the car, and leave, my eyes turned cold and resolute. Ethan, Olivia, and that unknown man, your performance ends here. Next, it's my turn to direct this play. Back at the law firm, I immediately laid out the next steps. First and foremost, the most crucial point, confirm the true father of the child in Olivia's womb. This child is Olivia's key bargaining chip to tie down Ethan, and also an important link in the entire conspiracy. If I can prove that the child is not Ethan's, it will undoubtedly be a fatal blow to Ethan. I used my connections to contact a private investigation agency that cooperates with Olivia's prenatal hospital. I need to get Olivia's original prenatal records, especially the accurate records of her pregnancy cycle. The process was smoother than I had imagined. A few days later, the investigation agency sent an encrypted file to my email. The file contained Olivia's detailed prenatal report. The report showed that Olivia's actual gestational age was almost a month earlier than the time she told Ethan. In other words, before she claimed to have had her first encounter with Ethan and became accidentally pregnant, she was already pregnant with someone else's child. This child is definitely not Ethan's. I looked at the date on the report and sneered inwardly. Olivia, that woman, really has everyone wrapped around her finger. She used a bastard child of unknown parentage to deceive Ethan, making him willing to take risks for her, even going so far as to murder his own husband. And Ethan, that self-righteous man, is still immersed in the joy of becoming a father, fantasizing about a beautiful future of living happily ever after with Olivia. It's truly pathetic and laughable. This report will be the most powerful card in my hand, but I can't reveal it yet. I need to wait for the most opportune moment to deliver the heaviest blow to Ethan. With the child issue resolved, the next step is to find that mysterious third party. Liam provided limited clues, only knowing that the person's build and hair color are different from Ethan's. I assigned my capable assistant, the young and astute David, to track Olivia. David is meticulous and has first-rate tracking skills. He's my right-hand man. Keep a close eye on her, David, I instructed, especially when she's out alone. Pay attention to every suspicious male she comes into contact with, especially the one matching Liam's description. David took his orders and left. Over the next few days, he followed Olivia like a shadow. Initially, there weren't many discoveries. Olivia seemed to have restrained herself quite a bit. Aside from her normal commute to work and shopping, there were few special activities. It wasn't until a week later, David called, his tone excited. Ava, I've found something. Olivia went to a gym this afternoon and chatted with a personal trainer for a long time. They were very intimate. The trainer is blonde, tall, and muscular, very similar to Liam's description. Keep following them, I instructed immediately. See where they go next. A few hours later, David called again, his voice even lower. After leaving the gym together, they drove to a bed and breakfast in the suburbs. They went inside and haven't come out yet. A bed and breakfast? Overnight? Take pictures as evidence. David, be careful. I hung up the phone, a cold smile creeping onto my lips. Fitness coach, Linway, Ryan. So it's him. Besides my husband Ethan, Olivia's affair is also with a young and strong gigolo. Now, the relationships between the characters are basically clear. Olivia is juggling three men, her husband Liam, who provides wealth and social status, her lover Ethan, who provides drugs, participates in the murder plot, and may become a scapegoat, and her lover Ryan, who provides young flesh and passion. So, what is Olivia's ultimate goal? Is it just for money? I recall Ethan and Olivia's chat history. They were planning to fly away after getting the money, but now it seems Olivia's target may not be Ethan. She's likely just using Ethan to achieve her goals, and the person she ultimately elopes with might be this young fitness coach, Ryan. She's using Liam's money, and the money extracted from Ethan, or potentially from me in the future, to support her gigolo, Ryan. This deduction makes me feel disgusted. This woman is greedy, malicious, and shameless. She treats everyone as a tool to satisfy her own selfish desires. I must cut off all her escape routes and make her pay for her actions. And this Ryan, perhaps he can become a breakthrough in my plan. The best way to deal with a gigolo like Ryan, who is driven by money and desire, is to lure him with even greater temptation. I know Olivia has been looking at properties recently, most likely to build a love nest with Ryan, and Ethan is worried about the money for it. This is an excellent opportunity. I investigated several sales offices that Olivia has been frequenting recently, then dressed myself up carefully, drove my expensive sports car, and showed up at one of the most upscale property sales centers. Sure enough, it wasn't long before I saw Olivia and Ryan. They were standing around the model, listening to the sales consultant's introduction. Ryan was wearing a tight-fitting sports vest, deliberately showing off his developed muscles, his eyes full of longing for a luxurious life. Olivia was holding his arm, looking like a damsel in distress. I pretended not to see them and walked straight to the other side, saying to the sales consultant accompanying me in a voice an octave higher than theirs, "Which is the largest apartment type in this development? I want to buy it outright. Oh, by the way, help me see if there are any parking spaces suitable for my limited edition sports cars. At least 3. My words successfully attracted the attention of the entire room, including Ryan and Olivia. Ryan's eyes lit up instantly, and he looked at me intently, not hiding his interest and scrutiny. Olivia's face looked a little ugly, and she obviously recognized me. I ignored Olivia's gaze and continued to talk extravagantly with the sales consultant, deliberately revealing that I was single, rich, and generous. The effect was immediate. While I was pretending to answer the phone and walking to the side, Ryan took the initiative to come over. "Hello, madam. I'm Ryan, a personal trainer." He handed me a business card, a self-satisfied charming smile on his face. "I see you're in such good shape. You must pay a lot of attention to exercise. If you need it, I'd be happy to provide you with professional guidance." I took the business card, glanced at the information on it, and then looked up at him, giving him a meaningful smile. "Coach Ryan? Okay, I'll remember you." The fish is hooked. The next day, I went to the gym where Ryan worked. According to the address on the business card, I directly asked for Ryan to be my personal trainer and immediately bought the highest level membership card. During a break in training, I casually revealed some information to Ryan. "Oh, I been having so many troubles lately." I wiped the sweat from my forehead and said, pretending to be distressed, "My best friend Olivia, you know her? The one we ran into at the sales office yesterday. She's going through a divorce, and her husband seems to have caught her doing something wrong, which might mean she ends up with nothing." Ryan's expression stiffened noticeably, but he quickly masked it. "Really? That's terrible." "You bet it is," I continued. "She was even thinking about buying a house, but now that all her money is frozen, I guess she won't be able to. You know, women are really stupid sometimes. She should have figured out how to transfer her assets before the divorce. I already allocated most of my assets, even if, it won't affect my quality of life. Like buying an apartment for my current boyfriend or something. That's all premarital property. No one can take it away." As I spoke, I observed Ryan's reaction. His eyes flickered, and his breathing was slightly rapid. I could feel that he was tempted. An Olivia who might end up with nothing after a divorce and no money to buy him a house, versus me, who appears wealthier, knows how to plan, and hints at being able to buy him a house. This multiple-choice question isn't difficult for someone like Ryan. Ms. Ava is truly far-sighted, Ryan said with a dry laugh, his tone tinged with flattery. "I can't help it. I've learned from my mistakes." I smiled and didn't continue the topic. I knew the bait had been set. Now, I just had to wait for him to take it himself. To completely cut off Olivia's financial resources and force her to put pressure on Ethan. I immediately contacted Liam. Liam, it's time to freeze all your joint accounts and credit cards with Olivia, I instructed. At the same time, I will send her a lawyer's letter in your name, clearly informing her that you have evidence of her extramarital affair, and that you have seen her with that man, not mentioning Ryan for now. From now on, you will not give her another penny. Liam agreed without hesitation. It should have been done a long time ago. Attorney Ava, just go ahead and do it. The asset freeze was swift and effective. Soon, Olivia found that none of her cards could be used. Then, she received the lawyer's letter I sent. It's easy to imagine how panicked Olivia must have been when she saw the lawyer's letter mentioning her and a strange man. She must have thought Liam had discovered her affair with Ryan. Having lost Liam, her sugar daddy, and facing the risk of being left with nothing, Olivia's only hope was Ethan. She had to get money from Ethan as soon as possible to buy the love nest for her and Ryan and keep this young lover stable. As expected, just as I predicted, after her financial lifeline was cut off, Olivia immediately turned her attention to Ethan, although I don't have direct evidence. Judging from Ethan's increasingly anxious state recently, as well as his frequent overtime and even starting to make excuses to inquire about the family's savings, Olivia must be pressuring him to get the money out as soon as possible. According to my previous investigation, the apartment that Olivia is interested in costs around $1.5 million. This amount is definitely a huge burden for Ethan, whose current financial situation isn't particularly comfortable. The portion of the shared property he previously transferred may not be enough to cover the cost of the apartment. I can feel that the relationship between Ethan and Olivia is starting to become strained due to money issues. This is exactly the result I wanted to see. In order to add fuel to their conflict, I decided to kindly point Olivia in the right direction. Through an anonymous number, I sent Olivia a message implying that I knew Ethan actually had two stashes of secret money. One was about $500,000 that he transferred from our joint account about 6 months ago under the guise of his brother starting a business. The other was about $1 million that he secretly invested in a friend's sneaker factory without my knowledge. I heard Ethan is short on cash lately, but the money from his brother and the investment in the shoe factory are marital property, and you have the right to ask him to get it back, especially the shoe factory. I heard it's doing well recently, and that $1 million may have doubled by now. Message sent successfully. I know this message is enough to drive Olivia, who is already worried about money, completely crazy. She will definitely try every means to force Ethan to get his hands on these two sums of money. And these two sums of money, one involves Ethan's family, and the other is his important private investment, neither of which are easy to get back. The conflict between Ethan and Olivia will inevitably intensify further. While intensifying the conflict between Ethan and Olivia, I am also laying the groundwork for finally recovering the property that belongs to me. First, I went to the hospital and, using my previous blood test reports and some techniques, got the doctor to issue a diagnosis stating severe endocrine disorders due to long-term use of unidentified drugs, which may affect fertility. This certificate will be crucial evidence in the upcoming divorce proceedings to prove that Ethan caused me personal injury. Secondly, I found Mark Davis, the owner of the shoe factory that Ethan invested in. Mark is the husband of my college classmate, and we have a good relationship. I bluntly told him that Ethan and I might get divorced, and the $1 million that Ethan invested in his factory is our marital joint property, and I need to ensure the safety of this money. I didn't reveal Ethan's affair or the drugging, only that our relationship had broken down. Mark readily agreed to help. We reached a verbal agreement. If Ethan proposes to withdraw his investment or transfer shares, Mark will notify me immediately and must transfer the funds directly into my designated personal account. With this diagnosis and Mark's promise, I have double insurance. Whether Ethan is forced by Olivia or wants to transfer assets himself, he won't be able to easily touch that $1 million. Olivia was being pushed harder and harder by Ryan. I guess Ryan may have not only urged her verbally, but may have even resorted to physical violence. David's report mentioned that he saw subtle bruises on Olivia's face and arms twice. Olivia, driven to desperation, finally took a crazy action. That afternoon, I was processing documents in the office when I suddenly received a call from David, his tone urgent. Sister Ava, something happened. Olivia ran to the top of the office building opposite our law firm and is going to jump. I immediately got up and rushed to the window. Sure enough, on the roof of the office building opposite, a woman's figure was standing on the edge. emotionally crying and shouting something to the crowd watching below and the police who had arrived. Although the distance was a bit far, I could recognize that it was Olivia. "What did she say?" I asked David. "She's shouting Ethan's name, saying Ethan cheated her of her feelings and owes her $1.5 million that he hasn't paid back. She says if Ethan doesn't give her the money, she'll jump from here." I understood. Olivia was using a public spectacle to force Ethan to submit. She was sure that Ethan was a person who cared about his reputation, especially working in the financial sector, where he was most afraid of this kind of negative news. She wanted to make a big scene so that Ethan would have no way to clean up the mess and would have to give her the money obediently. Soon, Ethan appeared downstairs, his face pale. He looked up at Olivia on the roof, his eyes filled with anger and disgust, but even more so with the helplessness of being driven to the end of the road. The police tried to persuade her, but Olivia was emotionally agitated and wouldn't let anyone near her. She specifically demanded that Ethan immediately produce $1.5 million in cash for her, or she would not come down. "The opportunity has arrived." I immediately had my assistant prepare a document and then walked out of the law firm building. I went to Ethan's side. He was surrounded by reporters and onlookers, looking distraught. When he saw me, he looked like he had seen a savior, but also with a hint of guilt and embarrassment. "Ava, you, I know," I interrupted him, my expression calm, even with a hint of understanding, "Ethan, I know you've been under a lot of pressure lately, but now lives are at stake, and we can't let anything really happen to her." I paused, looked at him, and said in a serious tone, $1.5 million is not a small amount, and our family doesn't have that much liquid capital right now. But, isn't that $1 million you invested in the Mark shoe factory about to mature? How about you transfer the right to the proceeds of that investment to me first? Write a written agreement proving that this $1 million investment and its future income belong to me personally. Then, in the name of the law firm, I'll temporarily lend you $1.5 million to solve the immediate problem. My proposal sounded reasonable, even like I was helping him out of a difficult situation. Using a right to investment income that can only be realized in the future in exchange for $1.5 million in cash to solve this public crisis. Ethan was forced to do so, and seeing that I was so understanding, he didn't suspect anything and immediately nodded in agreement. Okay, Ava, thank you." I had my assistant bring over the agreement that had been prepared in advance. The agreement clearly stated, Ethan voluntarily transfers his entire $1 million investment principal in the Mark shoe factory and all future income unconditionally to Ava personally as collateral for this loan. Ethan signed without hesitation. I then had the law firm's finance department issue a check for $1.5 million, payable to myself. I took the check and, accompanied by the police, went up to the roof. "Olivia," I handed her the check. "This is $1.5 million. Ethan has tried his best. Come down, don't do anything stupid." Olivia saw the check and then saw Ethan's signature below. She finally let go of the railing, collapsed to the ground, and cried loudly. The farce ended with me generously taking out $1.5 million. No one knew that this $1.5 million was originally obtained by me through mortgaging Ethan's $1 million investment, and that $1 million, plus the possible future income, had already been firmly in my hands through an agreement. "Ethan, for your lover, you have not only been discredited, but also personally handed over your last important asset to me." Having resolved the rooftop drama, Ethan's gratitude towards me deepened, and he became even more dependent on me. This created the conditions for my next plan. A few days later, I told Ethan that I needed to go to Europe on a business trip for a week to handle a cross-border merger and acquisition case. This was something I had planned long ago. "I'm leaving the house to you, Ethan," I said, feigning exhaustion. "I've been so tired lately. It's a good opportunity to get away and relax." Ethan naturally agreed readily, even showing some reluctance to see me go. The night before I left on a business trip, I took advantage of Ethan's inattention and installed several pinhole cameras in the hidden corners of our living room, bedroom, and his study. These cameras were connected to cloud storage, so no matter where I was, I could monitor the situation at home in real time through my phone. I knew that after I left, Olivia, who had nowhere else to go, would likely move into our house, and with a lonely man and a widowed woman living under the same roof, coupled with the previously accumulated conflicts and Ethan's gradually revealed murderous intent, something was bound to happen. I needed to record everything. I didn't really go to Europe. I just checked into a hotel in the city center and then monitored the movements at home through my phone every day. Everything was as I expected. The day after I left, Olivia moved into my house with her luggage. In the first few days, the two got along relatively harmoniously. Ethan seemed genuinely intent on fulfilling his promise to take care of Olivia and the child in her womb. But this peace didn't last long. The surveillance footage showed that Olivia received a call from her company's HR department. Because of the negative impact caused by the suicide attempt, she was fired from the company. Losing her job meant she completely lost her source of income and could only rely entirely on Ethan. This made Olivia even more anxious and insecure. She started contacting Ryan frequently, and Ryan seemed to be constantly pressuring her. Once, when Olivia called back, I clearly saw new scars on her arm. She and Ethan had a big fight over this. Olivia tearfully accused Ethan of being useless and unable to come up with money to get her out of Ryan's entanglement. Ethan's face became increasingly gloomy, and the disgust and killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. The way he looked at Olivia no longer contained any love, only cold calculation. However, after the argument, Ethan's attitude suddenly changed. He began to be unusually gentle to Olivia, showing concern for her every day, personally cooking her various nutritious meals, and promising to raise the money as soon as possible so she could completely get rid of Ryan. This change sent chills down my spine. I knew this was the calm before the storm. Ethan had already made up his mind to get rid of Olivia. This trouble. One morning a few days later, the surveillance footage recorded the decisive scene. It's Ethan. Ethan was in the kitchen preparing breakfast for Olivia as usual. He poured a glass of milk, then turned away from the camera, took a small medicine bottle out of his pocket, poured some white powder into the milk, and stirred it carefully. After doing all this, he carried the milk and breakfast into Olivia's room. She moved into the guest room. The smile on his face was eerily gentle. Olivia didn't seem to have any suspicion and drank the doctored milk. After breakfast, Ethan suggested taking Olivia out shopping, saying he would buy her some baby supplies and new clothes to relax. Olivia readily agreed. The two of them walked out of the house, arm in arm, intimately. Watching their figures disappear at the door, my heart rate suddenly accelerated. I knew Ethan was going to make a move, and the location would likely be on their shopping trip. I immediately dialed David's phone. David, you go to the entrance of XX supermarket, the one Ethan and Olivia frequent, and wait. Ethan and Olivia should be there soon. Keep a close eye on them, especially when they cross the road. If any accident happens, notify me immediately and make sure to take photos of the scene. My voice was calm, but my fingers were trembling slightly. Understood, Sister Ava. I waited anxiously in the hotel room. Time passed second by second, each one feeling like waiting for a trial. About half an hour later, David called, his voice with a hint of shock. Sister Ava, something happened. Just now, Olivia was crossing the street at the entrance of the supermarket when she was hit by a truck that ran a red light. She died on the spot. He didn't finish the sentence, but I already understood. Olivia is dead, died in a carefully planned accident. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Ethan, you really did it. You think you've done it perfectly, but you don't know that your every move is under my control. I immediately packed my things, left the hotel, and drove home. Pushing open the door, Ethan was sitting on the sofa in the living room, his face pale, holding his head in his hands, looking like he had been greatly frightened and grieved. Seeing me come back, he suddenly raised his head, looking at me with bloodshot eyes. His voice choked with sobs. Ava, you're back. Olivia, he acted so well. If I hadn't known the truth long ago, I would probably have been deceived by his devastated appearance. I just received a call from the police saying Olivia had a car accident, I said calmly, walking up to him. Ethan, what exactly happened? Ethan began to cry to me about what happened, blaming everything on an unfortunate traffic accident, clearing himself of all responsibility. He said he was right next to Olivia at the time, watching her being hit and sent flying, and was greatly frightened. I quietly listened to his lies, my heart without any ripple. Just then, the doorbell rang. It was the police. They were there to understand the situation from Ethan and conduct a routine inquiry. The police inquired about what had happened, and Ethan repeated his story again. Mr. Ethan, you were the last person with the deceased. We need you to come back to the police station with us to make a detailed statement, an officer said. Ethan nodded, stood up, and prepared to leave with the police. Just as he reached the door, I spoke. "Officer, wait a moment." Everyone looked at me. I walked to the TV cabinet and picked up the USB drive I had placed there earlier. "I think this might be helpful for your investigation." I handed the USB drive to the leading police officer. "This is the surveillance footage from our living room and kitchen. I think it should have recorded some interesting things." Ethan's face turned pale instantly, and he looked at me in disbelief. "Ava, you..." "Ethan," I looked at him with an icy gaze. "What did you put in the milk?" Ethan's body swayed suddenly, and he almost fell. He looked at me in horror, his lips trembling, unable to say a word. The police officers exchanged a look and immediately realized the seriousness of the matter. The leading officer took the USB drive and said to Ethan with a serious expression, "Mr. Ethan, you are now suspected of murder. Please come with us." Ethan was taken away by the police. Silence returned to the living room, leaving me alone. I walked to the window and watched the flashing lights of the police car disappear into the night. There was no feeling of revenge, only a sense of weariness as if the dust had settled. A few days later, the investigation results of the case came out. The surveillance video clearly captured the entire process of Ethan poisoning the milk. After testing, the drug components in the milk were consistent with the drug components that caused Olivia to suddenly faint and become unresponsive while crossing the road. It was a strong sedative, which, combined with alcohol, Olivia may have drunk alcohol the night before, or other factors, was enough to cause confusion in a short period of time. Although the truck driver was responsible for running the red light, Ethan's poisoning was the direct cause of Olivia's death. The police also found the remaining drugs in Ethan's study, as well as records of his purchase of the drugs, with both human and physical evidence present. Ethan's charge of murdering Olivia can basically be confirmed. In the interrogation room, when the police told Ethan that, according to forensic identification, the actual gestational age of the fetus in Olivia's womb was seriously inconsistent with what he knew, and the child could not possibly be his, Ethan completely collapsed. Everything he had carefully planned, the love and child he killed for, turned out to be a scam. He was played by Olivia, and in the end, he was burdened with the crime of murder for a child that was not his and a woman who did not love him. This kind of irony and blow made him instantly lose all reason and defense, and he confessed how he obtained the drugs, how he administered them, how he guided Olivia to cross the road in a state of mental trance, and even hinted that the truck that ran the red light might also be related to him. Although he did not directly admit the arrangement, he revealed in his words that he knew that a car would pass by at that time. Ethan's psychological defenses completely collapsed. What awaits him is the most severe sanction of the law. Ethan's case was settled. I filed for divorce, and relying on the property transfer agreement signed by Ethan, the evidence of him drugging me, hospital diagnosis certificate and drug test report, as well as his marital infidelity, attempted murder, targeting Liam, and murder, targeting Olivia, I won the lawsuit without any suspense. I not only preserved all the property that belonged to me, but also received additional compensation for emotional distress. My life seems to be back on track, even better than before. I got rid of the scumbag, kept my wealth, and the bad guys got what they deserved. However, just when I thought everything was over, a university reunion revealed a chilling truth. At the party, I ran into Liam. He looked like he was recovering well, in good spirits, and his career seemed to be reaching new heights. He toasted me, thanking me for everything I had done for him. Everything seemed normal, but at the moment we clinked glasses, I inadvertently caught something fleeting in the depths of his eyes. It wasn't gratitude, nor ease, but something, a deeply hidden coldness with a hint of smugness. That look made my heart jump. A strong sense of unease washed over me. After the party, I couldn't calm down. Liam's look kept lingering in my mind. Why would he have that look? Could it be that? I used all my resources and began to re-examine the whole event, this time focusing my investigation on Liam. I started with when he and Olivia met, reviewing their company's correspondence, social media interactions, and even some seemingly insignificant party photos. The results of the investigation chilled me to the bone. It turned out that Liam was the mastermind behind all of this. As early as a year ago, Liam had already discovered Olivia's fickle nature, and may even have known about her affair with the fitness instructor, Ryan, but he remained silent and began to secretly plan a revenge scheme. It was he who, at a business cocktail party, deliberately introduced Olivia to Ethan, who was also married and appeared somewhat eager for quick success. He knew Ethan's weaknesses and saw through Olivia's greed. Like a behind-the-scenes director, he guided the two step by step towards each other, igniting the flames of their affair. Then, when he discovered Olivia's infidelity and emotionally broke down, he found me, a top lawyer famous for handling divorce cases. He chose me not only because of my professional abilities, but also because I am Ethan's wife. He knew about Ethan and Olivia's affair all along. He deliberately hired me to expose them, to retaliate against them. Through my hands, he used my anger and my profession to drive Ethan and Olivia to their doom step by step. Even Olivia drugging Liam was likely within his expectations, perhaps even the result of his deliberate guidance. He deliberately appeared tired and listless, making Olivia think she had an opportunity, thereby inducing her, and Ethan, to embark on the path of drugging, laying the groundwork for the final accidental drowning. But I, from beginning to end, was just the most crucial and sharpest knife in his revenge plan. I thought I was the hunter in control of the overall situation, but I didn't expect that I was the mantis being used by the Oriole. He succeeded. Olivia is dead, and Ethan was sentenced to death, convicted of murder, with heinous methods and extremely bad social impact. And he himself not only got rid of his unfaithful wife and protected his property, but also won the sympathy of everyone with the image of a victim. He is the Oriole hiding at the very end, calm, cruel, and calculating everything. The moment I found out the truth, I felt a burst of dizziness. This seemingly gentle man has such a deep and vicious heart. He meticulously planned this grand game, manipulating everyone in the palm of his hand, and finally achieved his goal, and I was the last piece to help him complete this bloody puzzle. Ethan deserved his punishment, and Olivia deserved to die, but Liam's cold-bloodedness, using others to kill and calculating everyone, is what chills me to the bone even more. I didn't expose Liam. I had no evidence. He covered his tracks so well, erasing all traces, and all his actions could be reasonably explained by his status as a victim. Even if I spoke up, no one would believe me. I just silently blocked all his contacts and withdrew from all circles where I might intersect with him. I reclaimed what was rightfully mine and recognized the complexity and wickedness of human nature. After this ordeal, I was physically and mentally exhausted, but also more clear-headed and stronger. I quit my job at the law firm, sold my house in New York, and with all my savings, left the city that had witnessed my love and hate. I need a fresh start, a new life away from conspiracies, betrayals, and calculations. As for what the future holds, I don't know, but I know that I am no longer the Ava who only knew how to fight in court. I have been through hell and seen through people's hearts. From now on, I will only live for myself. The answer is already obvious.